Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to the platform of Sri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. My dear students, I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking care of the zoology section. In the previous video of mine, we have completed about reproductive health, and today, my dear students, we are going to start with a very energizing topic, the evolution. In this chapter, you'll came to know that how origin of life, origin of earth, and different organisms, different forms of life, they came into existence on this planet. So moving ahead with this topic, very first thing is what is evolution? How will you define evolution? The word evolution means to unfold or to unroll or to reveal hidden potentialities. Okay? Evolution, it basically refers to a gradual and slow process which comes up with different type of changes in terms of life or in terms of the other resources. So the word evolution, it simply means to unfold or to unroll or to reveal hidden potentialities. The evolution simply means an orderly change from one condition to another. Okay? The term evolution was given by Herbert Spencer. The term evolution was proposed by Herbert Spencer. Okay? It can be best explained by Darwinian concept of descent with modification. Okay? Descent with modification simply means Charles Darwin he proposed the concept of descent with modification. Descent with modification simply means what? That all the organisms living around us, all the organisms, they share a common ancestor. Right? So, Darwin concept of descent of modification or descent with modification simply means that organisms they have evolved, they have modified, but their roots are connected to the primitive. Mean we can easily trace the source of origin. Okay, so all organisms they share common ancestor. This is the story of origin of life and evolution of life. Okay, mean evolution it can be divided into two phases. First, that how life originates, and second, that how life is changing. Every moment, every second, life is changing to form a new, to form an advanced form. Okay, forms of biodiversity on the planet Earth in the context of evolution of Earth and against the background of evolution of universe itself. Okay, so the origin of universe, the formation of universe, it comes up with Big Bang theory. Okay, and the origin of Earth comes up with the nebula concept. So I'll write it down here. That formation of universe, it is explained by Big Bang and the formation of Earth by nebula. So, during the course of evolution, the inorganic evolution and the organic evolution, which is also known as biological evolution. Okay. Inorganic evolution means when matter, elements, they change in time. Okay. When they are modifying, when they are changing in time, then this is known as what? Inorganic evolution. Organic evolution or the biological evolution simply means it is the process of cumulative changes. Cumulative change means small changes, they accumulate to form a large change, okay, of living population and descent populations of organism. Means it is also known as descent with modification. Okay, so the biological evolution, it shares descent with modification, which was the Darwinian concept that how organisms they are so evolved, but they share a common ancestor. Understood? Now coming to next, Charles Darwin, 1809 to 1882. Charles Darwin was born in Shrewsbury. He was born in Shrewsbury, England on Feb 12, 1809. His father was a doctor. Darwin's mother died when he was only 8 years old. He was sent to Edinburgh University for the medical study, but he had great interest in exploring nature. So he quit medical school and enrolled at Cambridge. Soon after graduation, he got a chance to travel with Captain Robert Fitzroy on the survey ship HMS Beagle for a long voyage around the world. Over the course of his trip, during 1831 to 1836, Darwin collected a variety of natural specimens, including birds, plants, and fossils. Upon his return to England in 1836, Darwin began to write upon his findings. After years of further scientific investigations, Darwin published a detailed explanation of his theory in his best known work, The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. Darwin died in London on the April 19, 1882. So Charles Darwin, also known as father of natural selection, father of natural selection. Okay. Now coming to next, origin of universe, the Big Bang theory. The theory was proposed by Abbe Lemaître. It was proposed by Abbe Lemaître. According to it, the universe originated around 20 billion years. Okay, it is an abrupt figure. Okay, 20 means expected figure. It is an expected figure. 20 billion years ago, due to thermonuclear explosion. Okay, this thermonuclear explosion, it basically gives rise to formation of cosmic dust, right? And this cosmic dust, because of this thermonuclear explosion, okay, gives to the formation of Big Bang. So the thermonuclear explosion of a dense entity known as singularity. Singularity. This single huge explosion, which is unimaginable in physical terms, is known as Big Bang. The universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. The gaseous clouds which were formed by Big Bang condensed under gravitation and converted into many flat disk-like structures called nebula. Made up of atoms, small particles. Solar nebula was one of them, which formed our solar system. The very hot central part of the solar nebulae become still hotter and converted into sun. Later on, due to condensation of atoms and dust particles moving around the sun, other planets were formed. In the solar system of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. There was no atmosphere on the early Earth. Mean later atmosphere is formed. So basically the history, when it turn its pages, then it reveals that I am 20 billion years back. A thermonuclear explosion forms Big Bang. This Big Bang, because of spread of cosmic dust everywhere, forms a condensed part because of decreasing temperature, and this condensed part, flat disk, is known as what? Nebula. This nebula is made up of atoms and small particles, and among which the solar nebula is also there. So basically you can see the universe, it keeps on expanding. Okay, so the size of all these galaxies, they also keep on expanding. The central part of the solar nebulae is hot and it is increasing its temperature every time. The temperature is increasing and increasing. Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have a history of 4.5 billion years where there were no primitive atmosphere. Later atmosphere is. Okay? Is that understood? Now, coming to next, my dear students, this is our solar system came to be. Okay? And you can see the picture actually starts from here. It all began about 4.6 billion years ago in a wispy cloud of gas and dust. Okay? At some point, part of the cloud collapsed it on itself, possibly because of the shock wave of nearby supernova explosion caused it to compress. And because of this compression, the particles they come to form a highly tensile mass. Because of this, a flat spinning disk of dust and gases formed. Okay. When enough material collect at this disk center, nuclear fusion began and our sun was born. It gobbled up 99.8% of all the material. I mean, all the material came into a single point. Okay. These clumps become planets, dwarf planets, asteroids, comets, and moon. Whatever is around the sun, it is converted into the different celestial bodies. The cloud was a small part, but much bigger cloud. Nuclear fusion occurs when hydrogen atoms fuse into helium. The material left behind by the sun clumped together into bigger and bigger pieces. Only rock thing could survive close to the sun, so gaseous and icy material collected farther away. That's how our solar system came to be a place it is today. So this is the exact solar system we are seeing nowadays. Comets and asteroids, they are leftover remains of the solar system formation. So that cosmic dust basically it forms this, planetary system, you know. So this is the formation of, from the nebulae explosion to form solar system. Okay, my dear students. So this is how the Big Bang and how the nebulae is formed. Now coming to origin of life. What exactly origin of life means? Origin of life simply means what? That the life on this planet, if the Earth shares a history of 4.6 billion years, so what is the history of life? There are different theories which actually support or which came into existence to explain life. These are known as what? Theories of origin of life. The very first theory was proposed by Father Suarez, the theory of spatial creation. The greatest supporter of this theory was Father Suarez. This is the mycology-based theory. According to this theory, there are three connotations. All living organisms, species or types that we see today were created as such. Okay? When they are created in the same way. The diversity was always the same. Diversity was always the same today or 2.5 billion years back since creation and will the same in future and it will remain same in the future as well. the Earth is about 4,000 years old. That was proposed by Father Suarez, the theory of spatial creation. All these ideas were strongly challenged during the 19th century based on the observations of Charles Darwin, Wallace, etc. They believed that life forms varied over the periods, mean variation, changes in life, they are never going to stop. The greatest supporter of this theory was already told you. According to the Bible, life and everything was created by God in 6 days. According to Father Suarez, according to Bible, that God created everything in 6 days. On the first day, earth and heavenly bodies are formed. Okay. On the second day, sky and water. On the third day, land and plants. On the fourth day, sun, moon, stars. And on the fifth day, fishes and birds. And on the sixth day, land animals and first man. So according to Father Suarez, it is just a connection which is being set by God that first day earth and heaven. On the second day sky and water. On the third day land and plants. On the fourth day sun, moon and the stars. On the fifth day fishes and birds. And on the sixth day land animals and first man. First man Adam, and from his 12th rib, first woman Eve. Okay. So Adam, he was supposed to be the first or the primitive man who gave birth to the most primitive woman from his 12th rib. According to Hindu mythology, the world was created by God Brahma, the creator. The first man was Manu, and the first woman was Shraddha. So all these theories, especially the theory of spatial creation, it is believed and it is totally based on the mythological concepts, right? Now coming to next, theory of spontaneous generation. This theory states that life originated from non-living things in a spontaneous manner, in a random way. Although randomness is there, but the fact is, this randomness is also having some source, some origin, right? In ancient Egypt, it was believed that mud of Nile River could give rise to frogs, toads, snakes, and even crocodiles. When mud means the soil of Nile River can give rise to frogs, toads, and crocodiles. Van Helmont was the biggest supporter of theory of spontaneous generation. He proposed that human sweat and grains, when they are mixed and left over for 21 days, they can be converted into organisms. Harvey in 1651 and T.H. Huxley in 1870, they basically challenged the experiments of abiogenesis. Experiments of abiogenesis. Abiogenesis, okay, which basically believes that today's life basically originated from the non-living substances. Okay, so Harvey in 1651 and T.H. Huxley in 1870, they both challenged the experiments of abiogenesis. The theory of abiogenesis or autogenesis basically based on three major, for experiments. The first was conducted by Francisco Redi, 1626 to 1697. Lazzaro Spallanzani, 1729 to 1799, and Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur, he proposed the famous Swan-Nack experiment. Swan-Nack neck experiment. Francisco Redi, Italian, he was Italian, 1668, he took cooked meat in 3 jars. One was uncovered, the second was covered with parchment, and the third was airtight. He observed that maggots means larvae developed only in the uncovered jar, while the maggots could not develop in the meat which is in closed jars. This provided that larvae were formed from eggs laid by the flies in the open jars. Since the meat in closed jars could not be visited by flies, so no larvae could develop. Therefore, life originated from pre-existing life. So basically, Francisco Redi, he was about to explain that the theory of abiogenesis or autogenesis do exist. He took cooked meat in 3 jars. One was uncovered and the second was covered with parchment paper and the third was airtight. So the one was uncovered means the flies, they are in direct contact with the cooked meat. So larvae are developed, means the maggots developed in the uncovered jar, while the two of the jars which were airtight and the other one is covered, the maggots deposition or the formation of maggots was not to be found. This proved that larvae were formed from the eggs laid by flies in open jars. Since the meat in closed jars could not visited by the flies, so no larvae could develop. Now, this theory, according to Francisco Redi, was about to explain that life actually originated from the non-living because cooked meat is non-living. But actually, it explains some other hidden fact that life originated from the pre-existing life. Okay. Lazzaro Spallanzani in Italian 1767, he boiled vegetables and meat to prepare a sterilized nutritive soup, and he kept some of it in air sealed flasks and some in loosely corked flasks. Okay, he boiled vegetables and meat to prepare a sterilized nutritive soup, and he kept some of it in air sealed flasks and some in loosely corked flasks. Right. Now, what he observed? He observed that the soup in the sealed flask remains sterile. The one which is in sealed flask remains sterile, while microorganisms appeared in the soup in loosely corked flask. So loosely corked flask, it comes up with microorganism, development of microorganism, right? Now, means even microorganisms were formed from the pre-existing ones in the air rather than spontaneously. Okay? So all these theories are theories of abiogenesis. Louis Pasteur. The theory of abiogenesis comes to contradict theory of spontaneous creation, and that is why it is written that microorganisms, they arise from the pre-existing ones, they are not spontaneously generated. Louis Pasteur, French, 1862. Pasteur is a popular for germplasm theory or germ theory of disease. Okay, so Louis Pasteur, pasteurization, many more, different inventions, researches of this scientist are familiar to us and they are very famous. The germplasm theory of disease or the germ theory, and he disproved abiogenesis. He disapproved abiogenesis. He prepared a sterilized syrup of sugar and yeast by boiling them in flasks. He prepared sterilized syrup of sugar and yeast by boiling them in flasks. He took two flasks, one of broken neck and the another of curved neck, like this. Okay, swan neck. No life appeared in the swan neck flask because the germ-laden dust particles in the air were trapped when the particles were trying to enter, they actually trapped in the glass tube. They actually not reach to the main part. Okay, they are not reaching to the main part, main core, and that is why there is no formation of the microbes there, which serve as a filter while the broken neck flask colonies of microorganisms were. It means this also explains that life originates from the pre-existing ones, neither spontaneously nor abiogenetically. Okay, mean life needs a life to get origin. Okay, so Francisco Redi, Lazzaro Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur, these were the three most important, most famous experiments of theory of abiogenesis. This was the experiment, Louis Pasteur. The swan neck experiment, the swan neck flask, you can see, okay, a sugar of yeast and sugar solution was sterilized, okay, and the swan neck experiment, bacteria, it was present in the neck, but they doesn't contaminate the solution. But here, the contamination of the solution lead to the appearance of the colonies, okay. So here you can see the colonies, they appear. Of bacteria, right? That was the Louis Pasteur swan neck experiment. Now, Cosmozoic and panspermia theory. What exactly that means? Cosmozoic and panspermia theory. According to Cosmozoic theory, it was proposed by Richter. Please remember the name. Theory of spontaneous creation, theory of, special creation, Father Suarez, theory of spontaneous creation, more in Van Helmont, then Francisco Redi's experiment, swan neck experiment, Louis Pasteur, there Lazzaro Spallanzani, theory of abiogenesis, cosmozoic theory proposed by Richter. Now, according to him, protoplasm reached on the earth, okay, in the form of spores. So it was like that from the cosmic dust, spores of protoplasm, it get shattered here and there, and it reaches to the earth, or other simple particles from some unknown part of the universe. Mean, before coming to the earth, according to cosmozoic theory, the spore of life, it was present on some other space or some other planet or some other universal part with cosmic dust, and they give rise to various forms of life. Cosmozoic panspermia theory, it was proposed by Arrhenius. According to this theory, organisms existed throughout the universe and their spores could freely travel throughout the space from one star to the. So there were two theories. One is the cosmozoic theory and the another one is cosmozoic panspermia theory. So cosmozoic theory was given by Richter and the cosmozoic panspermia theory was given by Arrhenius. According to Richter, protoplasm reach on the earth in the form of spores from the outer space and they take different life forms on this planet. According to cosmozoic panspermia theory, which was proposed by Arrhenius, that spores of life, they exist all over the universe and they can freely travel from one place to the other place, okay, from one star to the other star, right? Now, theory of eternity of life. Helmonts believe that life is immortal, okay. So according to Helmonts, life is immortal. Theory of biogenesis. It was given by Harvey and Huxley, who challenged the experiments of three scientists, Francisco Redi, Lazzaro Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur. Huxley and Harvey, they propose a very important term, omnis vivum ex ovo or vivo. New organisms can be originated on the earth only by the pre-existing life. The theory of biogenesis was given by Huxley and Harvey. Theory of abiogenesis was given by Francisco Redi, Lazaro Spallanzani. Although Louis Pasteur, he contradicted or disapproved the theory of abiogenesis, but even the experiment doesn't to be proved worthy. Understood? Now, theory of catastrophism. George Cuvier in 1769 to 1832, he was supposed to be father of modern paleontology. Paleontology means study of fossils. So according to Cuvier, there was a catastrophe in which some comet or a meteor strikes the earth, and because of this strike, the earth comes up with different types of primitive forms of life. The theory of catastrophism given by Cuvier, who is supposed to be known as father of modern paleontology, means study of fossils. Okay, so these were different theories which were proposed by different scientists. Understood? Okay. Now, what are the different modern theories of origin of life? Oparin and Haldane, theory of origin of life. Naturalistic theory or theory of chemical evolution. The theory of chemical evolution is also known as chemogeny. This theory was proposed by Russian scientist A.I. Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane, England-born Indian scientist. J.B.S. Haldane, England-born Indian scientist. Sorry. Oparin's theory was published in his book Origin of Life. Important points. According to this theory, life originated from the composition of chemicals, means chemical synthesis or chemogeny. So according to him, that life originated from simple chemical substances which basically forms the complex molecules like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, amino acids, nucleic acids, proteins, XYZ. Okay. So according to JBS Haldane and AI Oparin, that these were the simple chemical substances which actually, because of that primitive conditions, they composed to form different types of structures known to be the, the primitive molecules, the organic molecules, right? Now, chemical evolution. Oparin's theory is based on artificial synthesis of chemical compounds, so also called artificial synthetic theory. First, life originated in the water of oceans. So water is essential for origin of life. It's true. There is no life on the moon due to absence of water. That's also true. At the time of origin of life, free oxygen was absent and aerobe. That's also true. So according to Oparin's theory, that the life originated by the composition of simple chemical substances to form the complex substances. The first life originated from the oceans, so water is essential for origin of life. There is no life on the moon due to absence of water. At the time of origin, free oxygen was absent, and that is why the first life was anaerobic. In the primitive atmosphere, free oxygen was present, but complete oxygen consumed in composition of different molecules to form the complex molecules. Simple micromolecules to form complex, or it's better to say inorganic molecules to form complex organic molecules. Okay. So it is believed that in the primitive atmosphere, the oxygen was there, but the oxygen was actually consumed by this conversion of inorganic molecules into complex organic molecules. And that is why the Earth's atmosphere becomes reducing. Reducing means because of the less abundant supply of free oxygen. Oxygen was reproduced by photosynthesis and atmosphere converted into oxidizing agent. So this atmosphere becomes oxidizing because of the repeated secretion of oxygen by the process of photosynthesis. Okay. So now coming to next, the chemical evolution chemogeny, JBS Haldane. There are different phases in the chemical evolution of the chemogeny. The Earth was originated around 4.5 billion years ago. Early Earth had free atoms of all elements which are essential for the formation of protoplasm, means carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. The lightest elements are carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, which form primitive atmosphere. So then the atomic stage, the Earth was originated about 4.5 billion years back. Early Earth was having three atoms of all elements which are essential for the formation of protoplasm, especially the lighter elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. Molecular stage. Origin of molecules and simple inorganic compounds. Origin of molecules and simple inorganic compounds. Free atoms combine to form molecules. Free atoms, they combine to form molecules and simple inorganic compounds. So free atoms, they combine to form molecules and some simple inorganic compounds. Due to the presence of high temperature, active hydrogen atoms combine with all oxygen atoms to form water and leaving no free oxygen. So the first was atomic stage, in which the atoms were free. In the second stage, the atoms, they combine to form molecule. Okay. So atoms, they combine to form molecules and simple inorganic compounds. Due to presence of high temperature, active hydrogen atoms combine to form water with combining with all oxygen atoms, leaving no free oxygen. Thus the primitive atmosphere was reducing without free oxygen. Unlike present oxidizing atmosphere, today we are having oxidizing atmosphere. Hydrogen atoms also combine with nitrogen to form ammonia. Hydrogen atoms, they combine with nitrogen to form ammonia. Okay. The first molecular compounds formed were probably water and ammonia. These latter elements also formed CO2, carbon monoxide, nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas. Okay. So now coming to next, that was the molecular stage. Now, origin of early organic compounds. The nitrogen and carbon of the atmosphere combine with metallic atoms to form metallic nitrides and metallic carbides. Means, for example, any metal M combines with nitrogen to form metallic nitride. Metallic nitride, and with carbon to form metallic carbide. Okay, N3 minus C2 minus. Right? So, water vapor, metallic carbides, they reacted to form first organic compound methane. And that's true. The laboratory preparation of these hydrocarbons is also done by the metallic carbides like calcium carbide, CaC2, or aluminium Al4 and C3, right? So water vapor and these metallic carbides, they combine to form methane and other hydrocarbons. Later hydrogen cyanide was formed. hydrogen cyanide was formed. Water which formed on earth due to high temperature evaporated, so clouds were formed. Water vapor changed into raindrops because of precipitation, and by the collection of water on the earth, primitive oceans were formed. Origin of simple organic compounds. So you can see every stage is basically having some proof. Origin of simple organic compounds. Water of primitive oceans contain large amount of methane, ammonia, hydrogen, cyanide, carbides, and nitrites. So these were the compounds which actually engrossed the primitive ocean. Methane, ammonia, hydrogen, cyanide, carbides, nitrites. These early compounds interacted, all these compounds they interact with each other and form simple organic compounds like aldehyde, ketones, carboxylic acids, pentose, hexose sugar, amino acids, glycerol, fatty acids, purines, pyrimidines. So energy was obtained from the ultraviolet radiations of the sunlight, cosmic rays means gamma radiations, and heat of volcanic eruptions. So you can see all these conditions were very necessary for the formation of these organic and inorganic compounds. If the condition of that time was not so primitive, especially in terms of temperature and pressure, what will happen? They won't be converted into these organic and inorganic molecules. So that is why the life originated from these molecules because of a perfect condition. Okay. Origin of complex compounds, the small simple organic molecules combine to form large simple organic molecules, large complex organic molecules like amino acids, they join to form proteins, polypeptides, which were non-enzymatic. They were non-enzymatic. Simple sugar units combine to form polysaccharides. Okay. So first it was the atomic, then molecule, then simple inorganic molecule, then simple organic molecule, then origin of complex organic compounds, right? The fatty acids and glycerol, they united to form fats and lipids. So fatty acids and glycerol, they united to form fats and lipids. Because nowadays, if you hydrolyze fats and lipids, you will be getting fatty acids and glycerol. Sugar, nitrogen bases, phosphates, they combine to form nucleotides, means purines and pyrimidines. Okay, which polymerize into nucleic acids, which unable to replicate, means the further or the primitive nucleic acids, they don't have the process of replication. They lack the process of replication. Okay. These macromolecules forms main component of protoplasm, and hence the possibility of origin of life in primitive oceans, could be established. So you can see that how fatty acids and glycerol they form fats and lipids, how amino acids they join to form polypeptides and proteins, which were non-enzymatic. Now coming to next, after a long time, the water of primitive oceans become rich mixture of organic compounds, which as a result of chemical evolution, this rich mixture of organic compound was known as the hot dilute soup or prebiotic soup. Means a soup which basically is going to flourish the living organisms. So Haldane called this saturated water of oceans as prebiotic soup. The major requirement for promoting polymerization is the availability of continuous source of energy through lightning, thunderstorm, and removal of water from the surface of reactants so that they can concentrate and prevent depolymerization. So when amino acids they condense, they undergo condensation reaction to form proteins or polypeptides. So it is very necessary to remove the water molecules from the surface of these reactants so that they cannot go back and they hydrolyze to form amino acids again. So that is why the process of concentration or to prevent the depolymerization process, the lightning maintains the temperature of that time. Experimental evidence for the formation of simple organic compounds was proposed by Stanley Miller and Harold Urey. So Stanley Miller, who was a student of Harold Urey, they conducted an experiment which is known as what? Miller's experiment. And this Miller's experiment helped us to understand the fact that how these inorganic or organic molecules they are formed by the assemblance of simple inorganic molecules. In this experiment, Miller took a mixture of methane and ammonia and hydrogen, MAH, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen in a ratio of 2:1:2 in a large flask and passed steam which is having latent heat of vaporization over it by boiling water and connecting it with a glass tube. Okay. Glass tube was taken to prevent any other reaction or contamination. Electric discharge in the mixture by using two tungsten electrodes was passed as a source of energy. After 18 days, this fluid was collected and analyzed. This dark red fluid was found to contain simple amino acids like glycine, alanine, aspartic acid, simple organic acids like formic acid, acetic acid, oxalic acid, lactic acid, succinic acid, and simple sugar molecules like pentose, hexose, aldehydes, and ketones. So all these organic molecules, they actually came into existence because of the conditions which prevailed or which are created artificially, which reflect the scene of the primitive atmosphere. Then okay, electric discharge, basically it is basically giving a sense of a lightning and thunderstorm, high amount of energy, and this high amount of electromagnetic radiations, they just rip apart the atoms, and these atoms they combine to form different molecules. So now coming to next, my dear students. Yeah, so this is the experiment. You can see here, I'll change the ink. Here you can see, heat a solution of simple chemicals to produce an atmosphere of methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor. They have taken basically, a solution having methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor, and they have heated. So the vapors of all these, they get into this flask. This is the atmospheric compartment. This atmospheric compartment is having the vapors of water, ammonia, methane, and hydrogen. It is provided with electric discharge. Okay. This electric discharge basically ionizes the atoms, and these ionized atoms, they basically mix with each other to form different types of organic molecules which actually exist today. A condenser cools the atmospheric gases in a rain containing new compounds. The compounds collect in an ocean. Okay. So this cold water is passed to condense the vapors so that they can be collected easily. And there is a condenser which collect and analyze the condensed liquid. The reactions in the condensed liquid eventually formed organic chemical compounds, including amino acids. So the conclusion is the chemical building blocks of life could have been generated in the probable atmosphere of early Earth, and that was true. Okay, so this was the Miller and Urey synthesized prebiotic molecules. Very important. Prebiotic molecules in the experimental atmosphere. Okay, so this was the Miller experiment which was conducted. The temperature was kept around 800 degrees Celsius when the electric discharge was actually passed. Okay, so that was actually the formation of different types of amino acids like alanine, glycine, aspartic acid, aldehyde, ketones, and pentoses, hexoses. Okay, so that was the Miller experiment. Okay, now coming to next, my dear students, biological evolution. Okay, so biological evolution, yet we have discussed about the chemical evolution, the chemogeny. Okay, now we are going to start with biological evolution, and we will be conducting this biological evolution in the next class. Till then, my dear students, please take care, stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home. Bye bye, take care.